Welcome back to the channel. We're here with another bike check today. We did one on this bike at the first World Cup in Pietra, and we've changed quite a bit since then. It's kind of evolved throughout the season. We're now at round 6 in Thuile, and I'm going to take you through what I'm running for this race this weekend. So I'm running the IBIS RIPMO frame. It is size extra medium. So if you're not familiar with IBIS, they do 5 sizes, and the extra medium fits between medium and large. I'm 181 centimeters tall, and this has a reach of about 480, and I found that to be perfect. So yeah, I would say I'm a fairly average sized fella, and I'm on the bang in the middle size bike, which is a good sign that the sizes are in order, I would say. And the frame is protected by a lovely dyed bro kit that is clear, so you don't really see it, and it keeps the paint in good nick. Yeah. So I'll start with suspension. That's the biggest change that you might notice. In Pietra and Poland, the first 2 races, I ran a 160 Lyric on the front and a Super Deluxe rear shock, mainly because those races were a bit flatter, and it was more about generating your speed and being agile, let's say. So yeah, I ran a shorter fork and paired that with the Super Deluxe shock. And now I've beefed up to the Zeb 170 and the Vivid in the rear, which is more of a downhill setup, you could say, for this bike. So it's, yeah, more travel in the front, it's raised the front, slacking out the head angle. And then the Vivid shock as well, it's kind of a bit more, yeah, hard hitting, you might say, and it's a bit better on the long stages as well, where heat can be a factor. So yeah, in terms of setup on them, I'm running in the fork. This has kind of evolved the last weeks as the races have gotten steeper and gnarlier, and I'm now up to 78 psi in the fork with no tokens, and I've got 5 clicks of compression from fully open, just the way the flight attendant kind of reads it. And then on the rebound and with the compression, I'll change that between 5 and 3 depending on terrain or how I'm feeling, or grip conditions, mainly grip, let's say. And then on the rebound, I'm running 9 clicks from fully closed, and I'll switch between 8 or 9 depending on how I'm feeling on the day. And rear shock, so that, sorry to say, we in Ludenville, yeah, first race, I had 74 psi in the fork, so I've gone up 4 psi in the last few weeks, just to try raise the front end and kind of put me more in the middle of the bike, whereas I found sometimes on the steep stuff with that pressure I was getting a bit forward on the fork. So yeah, that's been a really good change. And then shock, I'm running 250 psi. I have 1 token in there. Running 3 clicks compression from fully open and 8 clicks of rebound from fully closed. And that, I don't change it too much, the shock, because it's kind of, we've more set the shock on sag, and I know that that's the right sag, and that's kind of where it should be for my weight. And then the fork we kind of tend to play with more to change the balance of the bike. And it kind of keeps the shock as a good base that you can work around, rather than having the 2 moving too much and getting a bit lost. So yeah, that's suspension. And with that, should of course mention, we're running the RockShox Flight Attendant, which has been class. We've had some really physical racing this year, and it's been a massive help. I run it with the bias on +2, which is the most amount of bias you can have, which means it's more biased to be active and to close the suspension, basically because I want the system to be as active as possible. And to help with that, I've lowered all my power numbers, so you can have on the Flight Attendant system, it either automatically reads your power numbers and sets your power zones based on that, and then depending what zone you're in, that'll help it determine what mode you should be in. Whereas I've lowered those numbers a lot, because generally in stages, it's either rough terrain or you're really fatigued. You know, if you're 6-7 minutes into a stage, you're not going to hit the same numbers as you would out for a training ride. So I've really lowered them. So basically any time I'm above 300-400 watts, it'll really favour being locked, because I figure if I'm pedaling in a race, it's a sprint. You're never just chilling. So just trying to encourage the system to lock as much as it can. And in some cases I'll use the override, which I have a button on my top left shifter, which if I press that, the system will go into pedal mode. So you've got open pedal and lock, and it'll go into pedal mode no matter what. So no matter how rough or steep it is or how hard I'm pedaling, it'll stay in lock, which has been really good. There's been sections this year where you know, if it's like a pumpy bike park track or something, and the bumps, and I'm not pedaling, and the bumps would make the system be open, but I can have it in pedal mode and get a much more supportive bike, and yeah, just get more efficiency out of the pumping and pedaling when I do need it. So that's been really good. Like some races I've used that every stage, the override, and others maybe only once. So yeah, it's been really, really cool. And it's funny with Flight Attendant, like because it's automatic, you don't feel it working so much. So like your first ride, you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then the more time you spend on it, and then if you ride a bike without it, it feels so saggy and soft. So like that's been, yeah, a really good addition to the bike, and I struggled to ride. I couldn't see myself riding without it anytime soon. So yeah, big fan of that. Stay on the RockShox theme. I have the new Reverb Sost, which is class. Running at 34.9, so it's a big fat boy straight into the frame, no shim, which is really good. And 225mm travel, which is nice, the biggest Sost I've ever ran. Really, really enjoying it. They actually do up to a 250 and all the way down to a 150, so yeah, there's a size for everyone in there. And then attached to that we have a nice Bel Air V3 STG saddle. Been running that for quite a while, quite a few years now. And then cockpit, so I have 2 axis pod shifters on here. It's the new style pod, so you've got quite a big paddle on the front side where you can be quite clumsy to just hit up or down. You don't need to be super precise. And then on the back there's another little kind of lever button. That as well, like if I'm sprinting, it's really easy to hit it with your finger, or even if you're just chilling on a climb. So I really, really like them. Super easy to just hit when you're riding through rough stuff or whatever. And they are attached to cast SFX bars. We're running them with 38mm rise, 760 wide, aluminium, which has been really nice. Really liking the feel of them. For enduro, it's pretty important that your cockpit is comfortable, so you don't get too much fatigue into the hands. And attached to them we have the Bamba grips and the cast EFX stem, which is 45mm long, which yeah, has been really good. It was kind of, I've always been between a 40 and a 50, so then with these guys we made a 45, and yeah, it seems to be kind of the sweet spot for me, which is really nice. And then I have a wolf tooth headset and also the seat clamp, which is nice finishing stuff. We've been adding some colours to them through the year, but we're black at the moment, keep her stealthy. So this weekend it's looking like it's going to be a fairly dry race, so I've gone with the mini bolt-on Rapid Racer Products mudguard, which is, there's always one of those on my bike. The mini is the smallest I do, and then I do the standard and the max, which, yeah, they're unreal. Like with the big dog on, you can just ride through a river and none of it will get to your face, which is really good. And yeah, dry tires, so we have Continental Crypto Towel downhill casing super soft, which I imagine I'll stay with, because here in the Thuile the grip generally tends to be really good, so it's rare that you would favour a more aggressive tire. And they are laced onto Silt alloy enduro wheels, which I've been running them the last 2 years, and they're solid, really good, been really reliable, which is really impressive given the price point as well. They're really good value wheels, so yeah, would recommend big time. And from time to time I do run Cushcore in there. At the moment I'm not. It just depends on how rough and rowdy it is and puncture prone things are. I would run the Cushcore more as a security thing rather than a feel thing, because it does affect the feel. It makes the bike, it calms the bike down, which is nice. But yeah, don't have them in at the moment. And yeah, onto brakes, we have the SRAM Maven Ultimates, the nice limited edition black and green colours, which are real fancy. Love a bit of shiny stuff. And they've been great. Changed them this year, and yeah, the power is incredible. And just the feel out of it, I feel like the ceiling of power is more than I could want, so then you can just control how much you want out of the lever, which is really nice. And yeah, running them with 200mm HS2 pads with the semi-metallic, sorry, HS2 rotors, semi-metallic pads, which yeah, has been kind of my go-to combo. I haven't played around too much with pads because I kind of quite early on went with that combo, and it's been really good. I haven't found a reason to change, so yeah, I might do after this race just to learn a bit. I might play around with different rotors and pad compounds, but for now that's what we have. So on to drivetrain, we're running the SRAM XX stuff, which is really, really nice, really crisp. It's the Axis T-Type, so been running quite a few years now. I think you all know about it, but yeah, one thing I will say about the cassette is just how cleanly it shifts. If you haven't ridden one, try it. It's pretty impressive. Like, there's a pickup between each gear, so the chain is always in contact with each cog, so you can like full power sprint and it'll just shift seamlessly. Like you don't get that gap where the chain jumps. So would recommend. I've hit that off a lot of really hard stuff, the derailleur, and it's never flinched. So yeah, massive fan of the direct mount derailleur and the whole setup. On the front I have XX carbon cranks with a power meter inside. So the power meter I use for my training, obviously, but also for the flight attendant. They talk to each other, so it knows all the power numbers, as I mentioned before. Cranks are 165 long, and you'll notice I have an O chain on there now, so that's new since the start of the season. Again, the first races being more flat and pedaling, I didn't run it there, and then I've put it on now the last few weeks and found it really nice. I ran it before on other bikes, and it seems to depend on the bike how effective it is, and on other bikes I found it like it was a night and day difference, and I ran it at max amount of degrees. Whereas on this bike with the DW Link, it's not super, it's more subtle, I would say. So I'm running it just on 4 degrees, so it gives me something just to smoothen out the bike, I would say, but not you don't get too much float in the cranks, so that's been really good. And attached to the O chain, I have a 32 tooth chainring, which kind of my go-to. I've now and again gone to 34, but it's really rare these days with the 29 wheel. So pretty much run 32 all the time, I would say, and especially there's such a big range on these cassettes that, yeah, I can't remember a time when I've ran out of gears in either direction, like fast or slow. So yeah, that's kind of my go-to now. And then we're running the Crank Brothers Mallet E pedals, which again ran for the last 2 years, and they've been sick, reliable, real nice to get in and out of. Also real nice, one thing I've really noticed is how nice they are to ride unclipped. So if you're hacking your way through a section and you miss getting clipped back in, you can ride well. So that's been really good. So last thing left is kind of race specific stuff. So one thing you'll notice is Matthias, my mechanic, has put some blue marks on all the bolts here, and they've been really handy. So that means like during the race, either myself or him, when I come into tech zone, we can just quickly glance at all the bolts and see if anything has moved. So they're marked where they are when they're tight, and then if they start to move, you'll see it in the paint. So it's a real nice, easy way to just have a quick check of anything. And it has happened that I'd be sitting in a lift or something during a race, and I'll look at the bike and see that something has moved, and then just tighten it up, and that's it, no drama. And then other race things would be what I carry. So this bike has a glove box, and I've also, in the glove box, I have 2 Cotopaxi bags, one of them for snacks and one of them for parts, spare parts and tools and stuff. So I'll show you what's inside them. So in this nifty bag of tricks, we have a CO2, a TPU tube, which is teeny tiny, which is class, and some bits and bobs. We have a split link opener, which also has 2 split links inside. I have a cap for the battery on the back of the shifter, just in case that randomly falls off, and then also battery to go in there. Chain breaker, which also has more tire plugs inside. That's a wolf tooth thing that can also fit in the pump if you need. Some zip ties, some brake pads, because you never know. A valve, in case you break a valve or get it all jammed up. And yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, kind of trying to, yeah, it covers most eventualities, I would say, for what can go wrong on you in a race. And yeah, it's all just in that neat little bag, and that actually lives in my bike 24/7. So yeah, try to never be caught out. And then on the outside of the frame, I carry a wolf tooth end case pump. This thing has been so handy this year, and actually I haven't used it in a race, but most of the Group A men have, because everyone, we all like check our tire pressures at the top of stages, or you might have a slow puncture or something, and I'm kind of the guy carrying the pump. So this has been amazing. They do a 30 and a 40cc one, are the 2 smallest ones. I do a bigger one as well, and this is the 40, and it's tiny. It's so neat. And the main reason I started running it in the first place was that you can have a tire plug inside it. So I have a tire plug in there ready to go, pretty quick access, which is, yeah, really, really nice, really useful. But yeah, it's been sick. Like, that lives on the outside of my bike, and it's all like really well sealed and put together. So yeah, it's been covered in crap. It's been washed loads of times, and it still works as it should. So really, really handy thing to have, and you can also put tools and stuff in there if you want, if you don't want a tyre plug. They do other things that fit inside. So that is my IBIS RIPMO for round 6 of the Enduro World Cup here in Thuile. Hope you liked it, hope you found it interesting. If you have any more questions, drop them below and I'll try to get back to you. And yeah, keep your eyes peeled for race content coming this week.